together. I used to really love Seth Rollins, and like you said, he kind of has been in the exact same position. His character doesn't evolve; it never go. So
yeah, baby faces grow stale.
I mean, right? No, absolutely. It's just I don't know. Like I said, I get why it's happening, and I can appreciate why it's happening because honestly, instead of it just being a bunch of negative bullshit, and it kind of is a little negative, but it's people defending what they're doing and wherever it is they're doing it.
Yeah.
I totally dig that. But I've just not really been all that interested in this Twitter quote unquote feud.
Seth Rollins also said this week to Ringside News, I believe, I probably got that wrong, that Dean Ambrose took his ball and went home.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that Dean Ambrose's interview on Chris Jericho's podcast, no matter how true it was, I'm sure even the truer it was probably bothered a lot of people in the locker room as much as it bothered creators.
Man, shit. I'd be mad at the motherfucker too.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not taking money out of Seth's pocketbook though. So, I mean,
right.
He came across as a little salty. I appreciate him doubling down. I enjoyed watching the wrestling. I enjoyed watching the Twitter beef. It was a lot of fun on Sunday night. But also that brings us Seth Rollins saying that they have the best wrestling on the planet when he knew what was going to happen in that main event at Stomping Ground.
Yeah.
I might have waited a little bit before I would have tweeted that out.
Yeah, you probably just want to leave that one right where it is.
And that's a good segue into our 2 counts. Murray, what happened at Stomping Ground?
Interestingly enough, I had a hard time saying that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm worried about you just saying that you're trying to convince us it was interesting enough.
Interestingly enough, it started off pretty hot.
I thought so too.
It started with the triple threat with the 205 Live guys for the Cruiserweight title.
You know how I love a triple threat.
And
just a triple threat over here.
It was good, man. Those guys, I mean, 205 never, on any pay-per-view, 205 never lets us down. They're always the perfect opening match.
Yeah.
Necessarily, I don't think it should always be the dark match or whatever you want to call it, but it was crazy, man. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of near falls in the beginning of it. It was super high energy, pretty heavy impact in the beginning. Like I said, lots of near falls. There were, and ultimately, my guy, Drew Gulak, who I predicted would win the Cruiserweight title at Stomping Grounds, the boot logo.
A 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah, well, I got it though.
So did I, motherfucker.
Ultimately, Drew Gulak came away with the win and is now the new Cruiserweight champion. Also, we had the Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans, for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. It was like you guys said, it was kind of a rehash. I don't know if that one was on no, it wasn't on Saudi Arabia because they're women.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was all right. I see what they're doing. They're at least trying to kind of do some kind of story with these two, whatever it may be. They're trying to get Lacey over in some way or another.
I mean, she's lost twice now clean.
Exactly.
Nice.
So
Way too nice.
I don't know. It seems like they're even gonna team
Positive Myrrh.
Yeah,
Way too nice.
I'm trying. Anyway, Springboard Stunner was kind of cool. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Lynch defeated Evans. Yawn.
So there were other matches.
So
like, the New Day was good.
The New Day, Sami Zayn and
Kevin
KO
Owens
was pretty good.
Had no business being as good as it was.
No, that was highly entertaining.
Yes.
But again, you have 4 guys in the ring that know how to work.
Right.
And even like, Kevin Owens and the New Day being great examples. No matter what you throw on them, whether how much crap they put on them, they can turn it into something at least entertaining. The match was good. At the end of it, Owens and Sami Zayn defeated New Day, which I didn't necessarily see coming.
Ooh, I called that one.
Oh, I'll give you that one. But yeah, dude, it was it was one of, if not the highlight match for me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really liked Samoa Joe versus Ricochet.
Yeah,
I thought that was a cool match. I liked Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery. I thought that match was better than it had to do. I thought that Daniel Bryan and Rowan did exactly what heels should do, which is make the baby faces look like stars and then go over at the end. I think those were all the good matches, and then it kind of started going downhill.
I mean, Bailey Alexa Bliss wasn't.
It wasn't a bad
awful,
match.
but it wasn't enough. I don't really remember a lot of that match.
Yeah,
I just remember not yawning the whole time.
Yeah.
And then
now we can get to the stuff that wasn't so good.
Yeah.
The Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler. Fine.
Sure.
They've wrestled each other so many times.
Yeah.
Was that the cage match?
Yeah.
So that the end spot was good, but that was.
But I mean, that's for me. That's just okay. How can we do something with Kofi we haven't done before?
Right. Exactly. It was a new Royal Rumble spot, basically.
Right. And then Jason, I'll ask you, what did you think of Roman Reigns going over Drew McIntyre?
It's not a surprise. I mean, I put it up on BFR pod on Twitter. I guess
I believe you when you say it's not a surprise because you picked it.
Yeah.
Oh, I should throw this out there. Because Top Hat wants to know.
What's up, Top Hat?
The winners this week with 9 points apiece. The Vega Bomber and the Merman with 9. JCB and Two Beer come in second with 7. And Engineer Sam with a 5, just a lowly 5. I mean, Rich would have gotten at least 6.
He would have 6.5 even.
So Roman Reigns goes over Drew McIntyre again. They did the
Okay.
Super Cena thing
Right.
again.
Here's my problem with that. Just in a nutshell, when you have Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore kick, one kick onto Roman Reigns to get the pin for Shane, and you do everything. And the Mama versus everything in the Mama on just short of stopping on burning down the fucking ring, and Roman Reigns still wins.
But he had to lose to Shane in Saudi Arabia, which I didn't watch. But Roman Reigns still wins.
God bless him.
And then you know what? Let's just do this right now. Then we'll take a slight detour into Monday night before we get to the bullshit that was the main event at Stomping Grounds. Let's just detour into this.
Okay,
So
let's do
Roman Reigns
No,
goes
let's do it.
over Drew McIntyre 2 times in a row. Clean, obviously, because Roman Reigns only wins clean.
So Shane McMahon, after the match, decides, I thought there was no authority. He says, I run this company, and we're going to have a match tomorrow night. Handicap match. Shane, Drew versus Roman Reigns. Go ahead.
So now they're beating the shit out of Roman Reigns again. And then, I'm sitting there, I'm laying on my couch, looking at my phone, and I'm not paying attention because I'm like, man, Raw sucks. And then I hear the gong. And I'm like, what? Fucking Undertaker's coming out. Undertaker comes out to make the save for Roman Reigns on Shane,
Coast
and
to coast.
He choke slams Shane, and he choke slams what's his face, Drew McIntyre.
Exactly.
What's his
There's
face?
the problem.
Drew McIntyre.
And Drew McIntyre should be a star by now. Apparently, Drew McIntyre has been handpicked by Undertaker for WrestleMania 36. But either way, now, yeah, I read that today. But now they're having at Extreme Rules the tag team that nobody asks for. Nobody asked for this. Undertaker and Roman Reigns, the man who retired him, versus Shane and Drew McIntyre. What the hell are we doing here, guys? Guys, what are we doing? You have the best roster in the world. You have so much talent. You have a guy that's ready to be a star in the world of professional wrestling. Could be your top heel in Drew McIntyre. And you are just, I mean, the old argument would have been is that he's in the ring with Undertaker and that's the rub that he needs.
No.
That is not true. You have to win. He's got to win. I always make fun of Jason for this, but I'll back him up on this. Wins and losses matter at a certain point, guys. Drew McIntyre ain't won shit since he came out with Dolph Ziggler on the night after WrestleMania.
Go ahead.
Pissed me off.
So I don't think I've made it a secret that when I was growing up, Undertaker was my favorite thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
He's like my dad. Except for he didn't.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Him and my mom didn't get it on. But
you probably want to throw that out there.
like the lights went out, and I was thinking, ooh, maybe we saw the puppets in the background. Maybe it'll be Bray, or maybe it'll be Aleister Black saying, "Screw knocking on the door. I'll come knock on your door." I was not.
Knock on your door.
I was thinking that too. I was not expecting Taker, and then when it was, I'm not gonna lie, I stopped watching Raw.
Wow.
Like,
That's
You
nothing-
turned it off?
yes, nothing after that. Why? Why Undertaker? And because I'm still to this day super sour of how he quote unquote retired at Mania in one of the coolest fucking ways out ever, laying all that shit in the middle of the ring, and he's like,
When is going to be enough with
home. Go home.
I wonder if that match with Goldberg left such a sour taste in his mouth that he did not want that to be his last match. Or something.
Maybe. So yeah.
But now they're talking about plans for WrestleMania 36.
I don't want that. Like, leave his legacy alone.
No, it's too late. You already fucked it up.
And that interview that he had in the late night, or actually, I guess it was early 2000s, where he was telling somebody as the American Badass or whatever that he's going to go until he can't hang no more with the young talent. Okay. Now is that fucking time.
Right.
Go home. Like, stop coming out to wrestle because you can't wrestle anymore.
Anything to add?
The whole angle is the frustration about WWE, for me, all in one fell swoop. Undertaker being the veteran in the spot where somebody else should be in that spot. Shane is your top heel. I don't care what nobody says. He is the top heel. He's a non-wrestler at 49 that's doing things he ain't got no business doing.
On both shows.
On both shows where they said there was going to be no authority. There's going to be a brand split. There's no brand split. This wild card thing is a goddamn joke. Did I miss anything? Drew McIntyre, he's not being elevated. The only person being elevated in this whole thing is the guy that doesn't wrestle and doesn't need the rub. It's Shane McMahon. You brought in Undertaker now to bring up the ratings for the week to week. You'll get into you go into Extreme Rules. If Taker doesn't go heel on Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules, there's a problem because now you fucked up the storyline again. There's no way in the world that Taker should be coming back to help Roman Reigns. Last time I checked, Roman Reigns retired, quote unquote, retired The Undertaker, and then the night after proclaimed it my yard. So then you're going to help him after that? Come on, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
If he turns heel on him, I guess that kind of saves the angle. But
but then where do they go from there?
Sense.
SummerSlam. And then he retires him again.
Yeah.
And then at WrestleMania, they wrestle again for the trifecta, so he can retire him 3 times.
Fuck that. See, this is that bullshit.
The most retirements at WrestleMania in history.
Right.
He's got a retirement streak going.
Yeah. 22-0.
I mean, really, like the only way to protect Undertaker's legacy was to retire after Brock Lesnar broke the streak.
120, even if that means he kind of made some appearances, but not wrestle.
Because he's only put over 2. He wrestled 2 more guys after that they didn't put over at WrestleMania, which is like, what's the point? Should have put over Punk, should have put over Wyatt. But we got to get back to Stomping Grounds, and we got to get back to the main event at Stomping Grounds, which was Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins. There was a lot of intrigue about who was going to be the guest referee. They are all signs pointed to Brock Lesnar, and they bring out what my grandpa would have called a fart in the wind with Lacey Evans. They have Lacey Evans.
She looked good in that referee outfit, though.
Fine.
No, I get it. You can't beat down Lacey Evans. She's a woman.
That's fine.
But you know where this goes. Go ahead.
I mean, if you can't beat down a woman, then why don't you bring back Sasha Banks? To a fucking pop. You know what I mean? Then we'd be talking about something. But okay, you got Lacey Evans coming out. Then you just know that Becky Lynch is going to come out and that the final thing. I mean, as soon as they bring Lacey Evans out, you know that the pay-per-view is going to end with Seth and Becky Lynch, his girlfriend, and they both have the belt, and they're going to smile and kiss and hold hands up the ramp.
She's slapping his ass, and
they didn't even kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
I wasn't watching. I was like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I was over the table playing spades, and Steve, my brother-in-law, is peeking his head in, telling me, he's like, oh, it's Lacey Evans. I was like, man, fuck that. I ain't coming over to watch that
Look,
shit.
Are they? See, let's put it this way: are they, in our minds, which I know where your guys' heads are going to go with this, but in our minds, do we think they're really going to take the Seth and Becky thing somewhere? Are they going to try to recreate the Miss Elizabeth Macho Man thing, except for Miss Elizabeth can wrestle and is more macho than her man?
I don't know. Like, I don't know, but
Yeah,
because that's what I mean. Like, why the fuck would you even do that? We all know they're dating. Stop shoving it down our throats unless you're going to do something with it.
Well, they are going to do something with it because the main event at Extreme Rules is a mixed tag match between Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. And the winners get the belts, which is, I'm not much of a purist when it comes to wrestling. I don't feel like, I'm always like, well, it's just fucking wrestling. You guys can do whatever you want. But for somebody to be able to lose their belt by having somebody of the other gender, I know there's lots of genders, but somebody on the opposite side, for them to lose. For them to get pinned and I lose my belt because my girlfriend got pinned by a woman, or I lose my belt because my boyfriend got pinned by a man, it's stupid.
No, it's mixed tag. So
right.
Let's just put that out there. The men fight the men, the women fight the women.
Worst tags ever.
Jason Cornelius Bell, the man to my right.
Please.
The man that I've been watching wrestling with, talking wrestling with for damn near 20 years.
This is the most ridiculous.
He's
thing
on
ever.
Twitter being like, if this is the rumor and this happens, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And I like to argue with him, but I said, oh, no. Please tell me that's not what's going on. 10 minutes into Raw, you find out that's what they're doing. Jason, unload on it.
I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, come on. Okay, so Lacey Evans. We'll just start with the simple shit. Lacey Evans taps twice, clean.
Twice.
There is no reason in the world that she should be even in the remote conversation of getting a third shot. I don't care what you say. I don't care about fun. Let's just be serious for 30 seconds. She lost twice. She's tapped out twice. Let's move along. Baron Corbin. Okay, it's the but argument with Baron Corbin. Yeah, he lost, but Becky Lynch got interfered in the match. Hello, they made it no disqualification and no count out. So essentially, that means no rules. When you nut punch her boyfriend, you expect Becky Lynch not to come out and beat her ass? Beat Lacey Evans' ass? Of course she is. After that, Seth didn't do anything that was quote unquote heelish. He curb stomped him clean. 1, 2, 3 pin clean. I don't understand what the problem is. You got a whole goddamn roster of motherfuckers that are dying, would give their soul. Fuck The Undertaker. They would give their soul to Vince McMahon to get me on camera.
What if they had...
And you can't even do that.
Where
the fuck is Finn Balor at? Finn Balor's MIA. I give you Andrade. Andrade gets the pass. Condolences to your aunt. Finn Balor should be on this goddamn card. He's AWOL.
And he's the IC champion.
And he ain't nowhere to be found. But now you're going to bring back Nakamura? I mean, come on, man. So let me get this straight. In 3 hours, you brought back Samoa Joe that's going to wrestle for the title, even though he just lost to Ricochet. You're going to give me a mixed tag match with Lacey Evans, who's lost to Becky clean twice, and Baron Corbin on the same team, who's lost to Seth Rollins twice, and you're going to put up both titles in a winner takes all. Didn't we just see this shit before? You didn't even let that shit even die good. It ain't even cold in the ground, and now we're doing another winner takes all. Man, don't make no goddamn sense. And you wonder why people don't like the WWE. That's why. Shit don't make sense. 2 out of 3 falls. How many 2 out of 3 falls matches you gonna see in one goddamn show?
Yeah, they did that too. They got that going too. They
It was in back-to-back segments. You didn't even let that shit get cold.
Well, the first count was in like 8 seconds.
They did it twice in both matches. I'm like, man, you got to be out your goddamn mind. Move it to the 3 count because these 2 motherfuckers got work to do.
I like when I go, Jason, unload on it, and you go, I mean, come on. And then you start off all like, and then you're just like rolling down the hill, picking up more and more snow till you're a fucking avalanche, man, at the bottom.
Oh, man.
That was an all-timer.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Your
that was great.
Your eyes turned bright red.
Yeah, they were rolled in the back of your head, man.
Yeah, you were total Undertaker.
Thank you.
Retiring
Thank you.
again
I'll be
or
here
something.
for another 20 minutes. Go to the 3 count because we got to talk about the 3 count. At the
That'll
very
bring
least.
it to our 3 count.
Kind of segues into it anyway.
All right, so some big news came down this afternoon is that WWE Paul Heyman already worked for him, but Paul Heyman is going to be the executive director of Raw. And in a bigger surprise, Eric Bischoff, friend of the show, has been hired as the executive director of SmackDown, which is, I don't know when the last time he worked for WWE was. Was it like 2007 or something?
Give me a couple minutes. I'm trying to look up 2 things right now. But go ahead.
You got 3 minutes.
I love that.
So that's that. At least that is Vince McMahon seemingly understanding that there's a problem and saying that we need some new leadership at the helm. Now, how much it changes is still up in the air because, well, 2 things. I would have to think that neither one of those guys at this stage in their life would take that job unless they were given some semblance of control over what was going on. I would have to think that Heyman especially would, I mean, Bischoff might need the money, but Heyman especially would be like, you know what? I need to know that
we've been here before.
Right.
This is what I want.
Right. But the other thing is they're still going to have to answer to Vince. It's not like they're going to have complete control of it. Thoughts on this, Murray?
I feel like it could go one of 3 ways. The quick, easy way is nothing will change. It'll turn into more of a on-air thing than it is. It apparently, according to what everybody's saying, is that it is supposed to be a legit backstage thing. It's not supposed to be just their on-air characters. The other way is, and I'll do the negative one first, is that we're bringing people in. Like, look when Bischoff was in TNA, wasn't that great? He just kind of did a lot of the same, and Heyman, I can't really shit on because the only times he's really fucked up is when they've pretty much forced him to. Like, when he was running SmackDown Creative and he got fired for whatever reason, I don't remember, but things were good over there. I mean, Eddie and Edge, he was making stars on SmackDown.
I'd say Heyman's record is kind of impeccable.
Absolutely. So, but they're older cats. But into the positive of that, though, is that they're also in those positions and have been in those positions for a very long time. So they know the business and they've watched it change and evolve.
Yeah.
Heyman, again, especially Heyman. But so honestly, based on what's going on now, unless they do a hard reset, it's going to be kind of hard for either one of them to change things positively right off the bat. I thought it was weird. I thought it would be the other way around, that Heyman would have SmackDown, but I like that they changed it because it's a fresh start for both of them again.
Well, we're also considering that SmackDown is going to be on Fox coming up in October.
Right, exactly.
To answer the Eric Bischoff fire question, 2005 is the date or the year that's coming up for the last time Eric Bischoff was on WWE programming, and he got fired on WWE Raw 2005, December 5th, 2005.
Yeah, but he got fired kayfabe
on WWE Raw. So it can't be too much far after that. Anyway, to answer the question, it makes news because obviously it's the 2 guys that have done this before in separate spots, come to WWE and kind of done it, then been set on their way in one form or fashion or the other. I guess my biggest problem is that, like it's already been said, Vince still holds control. So any creative major angle that could, sway the chain of events for the next, 6 months to a calendar year, Vince is going to have to sign off on it. So, even if it's a good idea, Vince has to sign off on it. So can Bischoff and or Heyman persuade Vince to do things that he might not want to do? I don't know if that's the case. I'm just kind of so negative with WWE right now. I just don't see it, just because ultimately Vince has control. I think the smaller guys, the Rusevs of the world, Cesaro's, the mid-card guys are the guys that are probably whatever Vince wants that he gets. But ultimately, I just don't see much changing. The way things look and feel on the show might change, but I don't see a major overhaul.
It's definitely better than the status quo. It's definitely better that they made a change. It's good news that this change was made because it can't get any worse.
Right.
So,
Shane McMahon being the champion, that's going to make it worse.
I don't see that happening.
It's going to happen. Being a Wall.
You're gonna.
I'm gonna talk it into existence.
You're about his age.
We still look good.
I don't know. This to me is good news, especially
it is
because I don't know what Eric Bischoff can do. I know that we're buddies and we had that long conversation that one time here on the Band from Ringside podcast.
Yeah,
but, I'm curious. I'm curious to what
we should hit him up and see if he wants to come in and talk about this.
I got. But that's good news. We'll see where it goes. I like it though. It's better than the status quo, and that's gonna 3 counts.
That was like 2 weeks ago when you and I the show. F&B Eatery on 3453 Southampton, the corner of Southampton and Marquette. The best smash burger that you've never heard of until now. Meet me there. Beat me there. Check out my boy Mike. Smash burgers across the board. Take the kiddies over there just in case if you got the kids with you. We got a kids menu there. You're on breakfast patrol on the weekend. Do like my boy Bill did over a few weeks ago. Take the crew in. Food to get you a Sunday nap in. Swing on over to F&B Eatery. They got a breakfast menu as well. 3453 Southampton F&B Eatery. Tell them Band from Ringside sent you.
Right here, Rich. All right, a few odds and ends before we get out of here. Now, taking away from the Jason's rant, in which he said that Samoa Joe dropped the title, he's challenging Kofi Kingston for his championship belt. There is a couple matches that we may want to see on this card because we have looks like we're going versus Ricochet.
I'm into it,
which would be a good match.
Yeah, but I guess if AJ's turning heel, now we're talking. You can get, and hopefully again, this is me getting the club back together because
contagious.
Please, that would give them a reason to don't go shambles. You AJ as the head would have to go over though.
They're doing something with the Good Brothers. Because
go ahead.
Because the Good Brothers, AJ has kind of shamed them twice.
They've been on TV like 2 straight weeks. Damn it!
And they came out during the main event of AJ versus Ricochet, and AJ told him to get back. I know
he was pretty stern about it too.
Yeah, I know. So either the Good Brothers are going to turn on AJ, which I guess is possible, or AJ and the Good Brothers are going to hook up. That's what I would prefer.
Yeah, I would like to see.
I have other ideas in that department, but if AJ is going to throw him out, then there's only one other dude that can be the head of the club.
No, Finn Balor is not turning heel.
Why the fuck not?
It'd be amazing because it makes too much sense.
All right.
It makes too much sense.
I'll go with you on that, but dude,
you acknowledge the Bullet Club. That's why.
Then Finn AJ like that.
Yeah, it makes too much sense.
I know. Instead, it'll be Finn versus the Undertaker. In a no title match.
No, it's Finn versus Nakamura. All of a sudden makes the best idea ever.
Well, that's another match
intriguing.
That'll be worth watching.
Intriguing my ass. Nakamura's coming off the side of the fucking milk carton, and all of a sudden, this is where wins and losses matter. All of a sudden, Nakamura is a credible threat to Finn Balor. Do you? Wouldn't you just rather see a good match? If they're not going to give you the stories, don't you at least want to see a good match? Do you trust them to give them the time to have a good match?
I'd rather watch those guys have 13 minutes than those guys not wrestle at all. I'd rather those guys have 13 minutes than Finn Balor fight Bobby Lashley or some shit.
I agree.
You ain't going to see Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman in a fucking Iron Man decathlon. Can you throw this fucking semi off the trailer match?
Smoke break.
Ambulance on a pole match.
Somebody finally knocked on Aleister Black's door. It'd be cool if it was Bray Wyatt, but they both need to go over. It's not going to be Bray Wyatt.
No, you got to keep them away from each other as long as possible. Cesaro, Randy Orton, either or. Fine.
I'd take either one of those. Orton actually would be. That's actually interesting. I would.
Fine. Yeah, either one needs to lose to
about
Aleister Black.
We also have 2 other big wrestling events coming up this weekend. It's Ring of Honor's Best in the World pay-per-view, And that's Friday night. And then Saturday is Fyter Fest, which is AEW's second event, in which we have there's a fatal four-way match between Hangman Page, Jimmy Havoc, Jungle Boy, and who am I missing? And MJF.
Yes.
And there's also John Moxley versus Joey Janela. Joey Janela and John Moxley. I don't know if anybody watched the Road to Fyter Fest YouTube things, but those guys cut some pretty good promos on each other. Joey Janela saying that he's never had to cut a promo that was handed to him on a sheet of paper by a 24-year-old NYU grad is one of the best lines I've ever heard.
And it was probably fed to him by Moxley.
It probably was.
I was going to say that they're using each other to get this match over, which will ultimately, hopefully, get the pay-per-view over.
Cody Rhodes versus a guy named Darby Allin,
Darby Allin is the shit. Seattle-based. Great story. Lived in his car for a little bit. Trained to be a professional wrestler. Excuse me.
He was
he's got the goods.
I saw the promo package that they put together on him on the Road to Fyter Fest thing, and he was kind of a badass skater too.
Yeah.
Really?
He could do this legit shit I shouldn't say the legit shit. The flippy shit that most people don't like to see, that's what he can do. He can do it well. He and Cody should have a really good fucking match.
Yeah, and obviously Cody must think a lot of him to sign him up and then immediately put him in a match against Cody. So you also have the Young Bucks and somebody versus Phoenix and Pentagon and Kid Laredo, or Laredo Kid. Yeah. It's a 3-on-3 match. I don't know. Out of those two, which one do you see yourself? You gonna watch them both, Jason?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't give a fuck about AEW versus man. Look on my Twitter timeline. I watch it all. Okay, I'll just figure out a day and time to watch it. I will watch both. I would probably watch AEW first if you made me choose. I'll watch AEW first. ROH is. I'm trying to be loyal, but if I just watched the pay-per-views, I would be more interested. I would be more invested because the pay-per-views are the shit. The week-to-weeks ROH shows are hit or miss.
The main event in that pay-per-view is Matt Taven versus Jeff Cobb for the title. I have a hard time seeing Jeff Cobb taking it because he's got the G1 coming up. And the G1...
I'll just say this, and this is where at least the intrigue comes to play. Jeff Cobb is undefeated and hasn't been pinned versus Matt Taven, who is the new champion on the block and trying to establish legacy. At least for that much, you got intrigue. It's a fresh match we haven't seen versus this nonsense up in Stamford, Connecticut. So you see it a third or fourth, a fifth time. Hell, you'll see it on Raw if you just wait long enough. Fuck out of here.
So, before we get out of here, a little programming note. We're not going to be here next week. Next Thursday is the 4th of July. So everybody enjoy yourselves on the 4th of July.
No JPP shit. I want everybody to come back with their digits in 2 weeks.
I was just going to say, there's no shame in holding that bottle rocket just a little bit longer than you usually do. You got that quarter stick of dynamite. You got that M80. There ain't no shame in trying to hold it longer than your buddies. Just hold it a little bit longer than your buddies. And if you're listening to this podcast with your kids in the car, shame on you. But if you're listening to this podcast with your kids in the car, tell them that I was just joking. Right here, Rich. All right, we got some birthdays this week. We got Heidenreich, the man who sexually violated Michael Cole, is 47 this week. That happened. That happened on a Raw.
I'm really glad it happened.
That happened on a Raw.
History. That's
Wish it would happen again.
Alicia Fox is 33. The aforementioned Cody Rhodes is 34. Terry Funk is 75. Fun fact, when Terry Funk was in Roadhouse, and Sam Elliott's the bouncer, and he tells Terry Funk to get out of there. And Terry Funk goes, "What you gonna do about it, Dad?" They're the exact same age. Scott Dawson is 35. Bret Hart is 62. Joey Janela is 30. Huh. Scotty Too Hottie is 46. And Charles Robinson, Lil Nate, is 55. Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to ours. For Rich Harris.
Check.
For Shock City Studios.
Check.
For Soul Taco. For
Check.
JJ Twigs on Southampton.
Check.
For F&B Eatery.
Check.
For Schlafly Beer.
Check.
For Vice. For Two
Check.
Beers, Zach Pullman, Get
Check.
Better Son. For Murray the Man Murray. For Jason
Check.
Cornelius Bell. I am Bill
Konnichiwa,
Vakey. And
bitches.
everybody boo the heels.
What I am, I'm a common man. I'm bad from ringside. It's that 9 to 5 time to feel alive. This is bad from ringside.